Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another video. We have the big one coming up this weekend. Number 1 Texas Longhorns versus number 5 Georgia Bulldogs. The game is in Austin. This is going to be our predictions video, completely breaking down this game, every facet of the game, breaking down the rosters for both teams, but also giving our final predictions on who's going to win, what the final score will be, and we'll take a look at the spreads, the money line, and the over-under as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Every week we go over every single college football game, and we also do the same thing for every NFL game as well. If you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan in general, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you follow along with us this season. So, like I was saying, ABC this weekend, October 19th, 7:30. That's the place to be. Number 5 Georgia Bulldogs, 5-1. They'll be visiting number 1 Texas Longhorns, undefeated, 6-0. Last weekend, we had number 2 Oregon versus number 3. This weekend, we have 1 versus 5. Back-to-back great weekends of great football. Georgia's coming into this game beating Mississippi State. What was it? A 41-31 win. Not the best win, but never apologize for a win. Texas Longhorns, they're coming off of beating the crap out of the Oklahoma Sooners. Right now, Texas is the favorite. You never want to sleep on both of these rosters. They're both talented. Georgia right now, according to ESPN, has the number 2 overall roster. Texas has the number 4. These teams are talented. They are loaded on both sides of the ball. Texas has a 76.2% chance to win this game. 3.5-point favorites. Very close spread there. The over-under is 54.5. Looking at the Bulldogs, they are led by Carson Beck. He's closing in on 1,900 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's had a lot of turnovers the last couple games. Great passing the ball, though. A lot of people had him going first round preseason. But when a Georgia quarterback's closing in on 1,900 yards, you have to start to wonder, how's the running game doing? Because that's pretty high passing for a Georgia quarterback. They're not known for their passing attack. And the running game has been pretty questionable. So looking at the stats here, Georgia, they average 33.5 points a game. That's not bad. That's not elite for the modern college football, though. They're throwing for 326.2, which is very high for a Georgia team. Like I said, Georgia's always an offensively line-focused team. They run the ball. They're not running the ball particularly well this season, and their offensive line is not particularly playing well either. Right now, they're only running for 134. That would be good for your normal team. That's not good enough for the Georgia Bulldogs. They need to be running, I would say, for about 170 to 190 per game. That's where they usually fall. That's a difference maker. People might scoff at that and say, well, that's only 40 yards. That makes a difference. They're only averaging like 3.7 yards per carry. That's not good enough versus a Texas Longhorns defense. You can't make that up just throwing the ball. You can't throw the ball for 45 times versus the Longhorns. You're going to have to be able to establish the running game on the ground because this game is going to be decided in the trenches more than likely. And their defense, they still have a great defense. They're only giving up 17.2, but that's also high. That's good for your normal teams, but every Kirby Smart team is always sub 10. That's higher, and you're only now starting to get into SEC play. You got to get that number down, but it's definitely going to be hard to do so versus the Texas Longhorns. So the Longhorns come in, they have a top 10 offense. They have a top 10 defense. Right now, they're averaging 43.2 points per game, and a lot of that was with Manning at the backup position. He's not even the starter. Quinn Ewers is back. He lit it up versus the Sooners. He's going to be less rusty this game as well, throwing the ball, running the ball. They're throwing for 311.3. They're running for 189. That's what you want to see Georgia doing, running for almost 190 per game in SEC conference play, but it's their defense. They're only giving up 6.3 points a game. That is top 5 in the nation. They're top 10 in sacks. They're top 10 in pressure. They're only giving up 144 passing yards, less than half of what Georgia averages, and they're only giving up 104 rushing yards. It's going to be hard to run on Texas. They're only giving up 104 yards on the ground. Georgia's only averaging 134. So this isn't the team where you get the running game back on track on. They're going to stack that line. They're going to get after. You're going to have to beat them vertically through the air, but you're only going to be able to have time passing the ball if you establish the running game. Everything's based on the running game. The running game will open up the secondary for Carson Beck. If they don't establish any rushing game here, Carson Beck is going to have turnovers. There's going to be picks. They're fine playing man-to-man because they know that their defense is going to get after you. Looking at the players here, obviously, Quinn Ewers, he's only played a couple games. He's closing in on 900 yards. He has 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. But looking at the playmakers that both squads have, for Georgia, you have Carson Beck, you have Etienne Smith. Their leading rusher only has 335 yards. That's a big issue here. For Texas, they have multiple guys running the ball, but they're going to be led by Wisner. They have Arch Manning. Ewers will be getting the start here, and they have Bond. Bond is making massive catches at the wide receiver position. He is lighting things up. He's their deep threat. If Quinn Ewers needs a guy, he's the go-to guy that they're going to push the ball vertically to. This is going to be this is probably going to be a close game potentially through the first 1 or 2 quarters. I think Texas is by far the better team here. I'm not going to leave that up for debate. Georgia hasn't played their best football this season. They're not playing bad. Their loss is to Alabama, who's not necessarily looking good right now. They're obviously still a top 10 team, but Texas has been steamrolling everyone they've been playing. People might scoff at the competition, but they beat Michigan in Michigan. They beat Oklahoma. This is a team that has multiple top 25 wins. Georgia has none. So if you're going to hold Texas' schedule against them, what does that say about Georgia? Georgia's only played one good team, and they lost them, gave up a lot of points. They gave up a lot of points last weekend, too. Texas has the better resume, but that doesn't necessarily help you. Don't sleep on the Georgia Bulldogs. Don't think, Steve Sarkisian, that you can just stroll through this game. Georgia has the number 2 roster. We know they're loaded on both sides of the ball. They could get things lit up this weekend. They could come out to play, but this game's going to be in Austin. It's going to be loud. It's going to be at night. Preseason, I picked Texas to win this game and win the SEC. I'll just be very clear. I'm still rolling with that. I have Texas winning this game. I don't honestly have this game being close. I say don't sleep on Georgia, but I think Texas is going to dominate this game the same way they dominated the Alabama game last weekend. But Steve Sarkisian needs to approach the game the same way. Don't be conservative. No lead is safe versus this talented team. They showed that versus Bama. Georgia came all the way back down 28-0, took the lead, lost the game, but they stormed all the way back. Keep your foot on the gas, put your foot on their neck, just like you did with Ewers and Worthy and Mitchell last season. Keep pushing the ball vertically down the field. Massive pass plays. The running game is going to open up the play action, the deep passing play. That's what Georgia doesn't have right now. They don't have good play action because they're not able to establish the run game. But maybe they will this weekend. But it's going to be really hard to get that finally going versus the Texas Longhorns. So when it comes to our final score prediction, like I said, I have Texas winning this one comfortably, establishing themselves as the number 1 team in the nation. I have them winning it 34-23. That's an 11-point difference. I think Georgia does get a second half garbage time touchdown, makes the score look better. But I have Texas honestly dominating this game on both sides of the ball. Props to Steve Sarkisian. Quinn Ewers, he wants everyone to know that he's a first-round pick. He plays his best games in the biggest moments. Think Bama last year, Washington, Michigan. Whenever he plays a big name brand team, he has his best games. Look for that to continue here home in Austin. Texas wins it 34-24. I have them covering that spread, and I'm going to go with the over here. So that's our breakdown. That's our prediction for our number 1 versus number 5 matchup this weekend in week 8 of the 2024 college football season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have comments on my pick for this game or anything else, please drop it below and I will make sure to respond. Thank you.